Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Temte. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we play in our professional lives and learn about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today, we have Jason P. Carroll joining us. Jason is a serial entrepreneur turned leadership strategist. He's built and sold multiple companies and is now transforming how organizations approach leadership through data-driven insights and authentic growth. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, Jason, I ask all my guests this question. Give us the elevator pitch version of your story.
Man, it's just been a story of growth and increased self-awareness and emotional intelligence. That's been the name of the game. Some of my biggest successes have been as much in spite of me as because of me. The more I'm able to see that and kind of confront those uncomfortable truths, the more I'm going to grow as a person. And that has impacted business, family, friendships, community, et cetera, in really profound ways.
Well, if I could high five you right now through, I love that phrase. My success was in spite of in many cases was in spite of myself, and I resemble that remark. So, virtual high five for you.
Nice, accepted.
So, Jason, if you had to pick an event in your life that really just put rocket boosters underneath you, what would that be?
My first real career job was a nightmare, but it was my only exposure to what the workplace looked like. And so the real turning point was when I quit that job and went to work for Dell, because I live in Austin, and so everybody has to have their stint at Dell. And that's a mixed bag. A lot of people have, not great experiences there. I ended up in a segment called Select Public Accounts, which by itself is a Fortune 100 company in terms of revenue. And the leader of that segment at the time was a woman called Nicole Collins. And what she had built there in terms of culture changed my whole trajectory, because I was already seeing success even in the most toxic boiler room type of scenarios. And then to see what good culture could do, what actually caring about your people, creating environments where it's more about potential than it is about tenure, kind of a true meritocracy in a lot of ways. It just changed everything for me. So that was, I still look back on that and, want to track Nicole down one of these days and just give her a big old hug.
Isn't it amazing how there can be cultures within cultures?
Yeah.
And even in the middle of organizations, if you have a great leader, it really does show through. So I'm glad you were able to have that experience after a dreadful job starting out.
Yeah. And what's even crazier than when I reflect on all of that, she was promoting me and even invented a new role that I pitched to her, all while I was missing my quota in a sales role. I'm flipping 1% margin laptops to school districts. And I'm like, what am I doing? I hate this work. And just had very little intrinsic motivation and was missing my quota. I was bad at that job, but she saw potential of what I could do outside of that job and literally then invented a role for me that then after that, we built a team around. And then after that, the major public accounts picked it up, and they have that role still to this day. The Fed branch or segment of Dell picked it up, and they still have that role today. And I just thought that's radical, risk-taking, trusting, empowering type of leadership.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when a leader can identify what's going on in their people and go, you're not knocking the cover off the ball right now, but I really see that potential and grow from within, because she could have just fired you and tried to replace you, which is what a lot of leaders do. So we need more leaders like that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Today, Jason, I want to focus on your new assessment tool, the Aptive Index. But before we get there, remind us of the costs of bad hiring decisions. What happens when hiring managers just trust their gut and fly blind?
Some people have a good gut, and it can work out sometimes. But we've all experienced a great-looking resume, somebody who has all the experience that we are looking for. They do great at the interview, and we trust our gut, and yet they still crash and burn. And you ask the cost of it. I had a unique experience. I had somebody cost me over $600,000 in actual P&L, right? Which is kind of rare. Usually we talk about the cost of hiring and it's all of the ripple effect that it has, lost productivity and the salary and, having to hire somebody new. I had $600,000 of actual P&L dollars that I lost or somebody cost me. But that's unusual. But we've all experienced, we've all seen that the cost goes beyond what we can put on a P&L sheet. If that person leaves and there's a big hole, there's toxicity, if they brought the team down and morale is bad, of course it takes money to recruit the person that ended up being a mishire, and it takes more money to recruit the replacement. There's all that lost productivity that could have been more optimized while we did have that person in the seat. And so the list goes on and on and on. And you'll see the studies out there from whether it's Gallup or even LinkedIn has some of their own, that some low estimates are 70 to 150% of somebody's salary is what it's going to cost you. Some are upwards of 300 to 500% of what your actual cost if you were to be able to measure those soft costs. So it's extremely expensive, and it's also just outrageously frustrating and demoralizing.
Yeah. So there are loads and loads of pre-hire assessments that are out there, personality assessments, team assessments, and but we still have bad hiring decisions being made. These issues seem to just perpetuate. So let's spend a little time, if you can paint the picture of the current pre-hire assessment landscape and point out to us what's the big challenge with that current ecosphere that you are solving.
Yeah, the assessment world, not all are pre-hire, right? So there's like the DISC and Myers-Briggs, and then there's the things like Enneagram. These can be fun, they can be interesting and helpful, but they are not scientific. They're not validated, and they'll even tell you explicitly, do not use this as a pre-hire screening tool. And not only because it could potentially go wrong for you, but also you could actually get sued by the EEOC and Department of Labor laws. And then there's the category that are validated for pre-hire. So things like Berkman and Insights, Hogan, just to name a few. And they're great tools. There's in our world, like more direct competitors, Predictive Index, Culture Index, fantastic tools that also are kind of out of date. The universal commonality with all of these is that they're using decades old science. None of them, not one of the major players, has used all of this great data that they've been collecting to tweak and optimize and improve and evolve their own scientific rigor, which is weird. If I had a doctor who hadn't learned anything new for 30 years, I'd find a new doctor.
Right.
Same with a therapist or an executive coach or anything, right? And so that was the biggest problem I saw. The other couple of issues is, one, some of these things take 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and then some. And to use as a pre-screening tool, that's not really practical, because you can't ask somebody who doesn't have a job yet with you to spend an hour doing something that might be an utter waste of their time. And that's why when I say direct competitors, the other indexes are more like us, 10 minutes or so, pretty quick, pretty frictionless. But then there's another commonality that they all have, and it's a lack of technology. There is like, hey, here's a PDF. consult an expert and they'll tell you what to think of it. And then it collects dust. And maybe you think about it 6 months later and you go track it down in your inbox. There's no compounding strategic value, right? It doesn't keep coming to the forefront as something that is a useful strategic tool. And we wanted to solve that with, first of all, better technology. But then, it's 2025. What's the name of the game? It's AI.
Right.
And that has been the shining star of what we've been doing and what our clients love.
Yeah. All of those issues are definitely valid. Tell us about Aptive Index. Explain what the tool is, how it differentiates, and also give us what the tool is not, because there is no assessment that is all things to all people.
Exactly. Yeah. So Test Gorilla and Criteria Corp, they've got really cool skills-based assessments. That's not what we're all at all. We're not touching that space. We don't have any cognitive abilities. We're also not measuring skills like soft skills, emotional intelligence, the things that will shift and even radically change over time when people put in the work. We're looking at really hardwired kind of psychology attributes. It's what we call conative traits, CONATIVE. It's part of what makes up our made-up business name, Aptive. And conative traits are like the innate instinct, drive, and volition. What is actually my internal drive and need that is resulting in the behaviors? So we're measuring that, and it all starts with the assessment. That's the core kind of entry into the product. It was originally built to be a pre-screening hiring tool that was the thought, hey, this is going to be great. We're going to put the right people in the right seats. I've used these before in the past, with my last business. Total game changer. And our clients are using it for that. But the AI has introduced a whole new layer of what the product is. Aria is what we call it / her. I guess it depends on you. We all call her, so it's weird, but it is what it is. So Aria is like having a behavioral psychologist in your pocket at all times, 24/7 available, that knows your people and you better than ChatGPT ever could, better than even an IO psychologist on staff could really know you without years of exposure. And so now that hiring piece is maybe 20 or 30% of what our clients use it for. And the majority of our clients, like over 50%, are using the AI every day, which was totally unexpected. Like, I'm walking into a meeting with Andrew, give me tips. These two people are having conflict. How do we resolve this? We have sports teams using it now. So coaches are able to better motivate their players. The players are using it individually to increase their own mental and emotional fortitude. Pre-game talks and post-game recaps. We've got a client, a CEO, who swears that Aria saved his marriage. It's like, it kind of makes you chuckle, except if you were having that conversation with him, he was tearing up, right? Yeah. Not laughing, I get to hear these stories all the time of how people are using it personally for like pretty significant breakthroughs, which just warms
Jason,
my heart. It's awesome.
I'm laughing because our listeners will know that I have made many comments in the past about the similarity between marriage counseling and highly effective business-related, emotional intelligence tools that bring people together. And I learned many of my leadership lessons in marriage counseling. So
totally, absolutely.
If I could give that person another high five, I would do that as well.
Yep. So I hope that answers your question. It starts with the assessment and it's ongoing with the AI, with pretty much anything you can imagine. We've loaded a bunch of like kind of pre-made prompts to give inspiration, but people are just asking it anything that they can think of on a regular basis.
Yeah. So before we cut to a quick break, I just want to ask about fakeability. So I've got a dear friend who would take, the pre-hire assessment. He was looking for a new job, and he would tell me about how much time he put into really thinking about each question and can he game the assessment. And to me, that's time that, well, why would I want to do that? But
Yeah.
How does your tool accommodate for that?
We have kind of a little bit of secret sauce to try to catch that, but it's going to happen. And just accepting that is really important. However, what we are able to do after the assessment with the AI specifically is come up with behavioral descriptive questions. Like Aria will generate an interview guide. And part of that interview guide is confirming the behavioral matches that we are looking for. It also helps us address the mismatches to find out, does this person have self-awareness? Do they have coping strategies? But validating what they said about themselves ends up coming out in that interview process. Mm. The other piece, which is really fascinating, is there is what we would call a 360 assessment. If I'm hiring a really important role and I'm down to my final 3 candidates, they've all given me referrals, right? So I'm going to talk to those referrals, but now I'm going to send that referral a link. It's an abridged version of the assessment that person takes as they perceive our candidate. So, your producer, Nick, would take the assessment. It's only 4 minutes long, but like, hey, take this how you perceive Andrew. And now I'm getting a much more broader scope of how people perceive Andrew. And if I see that they're radically different, I've got some big question marks to address.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent news. Jason, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back talking about pre-hire assessments and... Want to understand money, markets, and the economy to make better financial decisions? I'm Andy Temte. Join me every Saturday morning for Money Lessons with Andrew Temte on YouTube or your favorite podcast. And we're back with Jason P. Carroll talking about the world of pre-hire assessment. So, Jason, I like to run these thought experiments. You've got the Chief Human Resources Officer of a mid-sized business sitting right in front of you right now, and they're skeptical about adding another piece of tech to their already bloated HR tech stack. What's your message about the why behind adopting Aptive Index?
Yeah, well, the most raw answer is that's why I start with the CEO. But the other answer, because a lot of the times that CHRO is skeptical because they know they have to go sell up. Right. So if I can tee them up a little bit more by starting with the CEO, then we're better off. But like, I love the skepticism. Skepticism of the assessment itself is really fun to overcome, because people who come in thinking, oh, this is, I'm going to end this demo after 5 minutes, ends up going an hour and a half, and their minds are blown. And then whether or not to add another piece of the process, it really comes down to, does the pain of adding something else outweigh the pain of what we're solving? And if they are acknowledging we know we're going to have mishires, over the next year, even like next few months. And then we go, okay, if we can reduce that by 30%, what's that worth? And usually it's worth a whole lot more than let's train a few key people on how to use this. Because the hiring side is really the only place where training even needs to occur. And our whole training is 4, 5, 6 hours max. But all of the downstream leaders that end up using it, they're really just using the chat. And so if you know how to use ChatGPT, you know how to use our product. So it's pretty low friction for everyone other than the directly involved hiring folks.
What's the risk of the downstream tool, the ARIA tool? What's the risk of misuse of that tool? What are you seeing in actual practice?
We haven't yet heard of any abuse. But LLMs, ChatGPT, and the like are in the news periodically of people misusing it. So we try to train it the best we can. We make everyone, even an individual using it for themselves, we make them agree to an AI policy that protects us and our clients. And then it's just the human element. People are going to abuse. If people are abusive, they're going to abuse whatever is put in front of them. Yeah. But it's, again, we haven't heard anything like that. We do all the time hear really cool stories of how it is being used in super positive ways.
That's great. Well, Jason, let's do our mentorship moment. You now have a mid-level manager who works in the HR department of that same company sitting right in front of you right now. They see the benefits of adopting Aptive Index, but as they look across the business and talk to hiring managers, they just want to keep doing things the way that it's always been done. What's your advice to this mid-level manager?
Honestly, the biggest advice is to go ask Aria. Like, tag the person's assessment results that you're having trouble getting through to, and she's going to tell you why. If it's somebody who doesn't want to try new things because they're rigid and they really crave routine and predictability, the approach is one thing. If it's somebody who just really wants to be in charge of their own destiny and they don't want to be told what to do, it's a different approach. And so, because I live in this world of behavioral science, there's no one answer to that question, because mentoring now takes on a whole different look. It's all context, it's situational, it's who am I talking to. It's like, sometimes I open up Aria and I'm like, I know this person needs me to talk like Brene Brown. Why don't you give me the language she would use to have this conversation? So I don't know if that's like the answer you wanted, but that's absolutely what I would tell them to do.
No, it's a wonderful answer, because, I've obviously been in business for a long time. We have been talking about mass customization, mass personalization of tools like this, and it feels like we're finally here. Is in actual practice, do you feel like we're finally here in this place of mass customization?
I think so, because it's so easy. In 2 clicks and all of 8 total seconds, I can have incredible insight just into how to walk into having a meeting with someone. If I've got this, if we've started with the data and they've taken the assessment, the way I talk to my wife continues to evolve and improve, and the way we're able to understand each other. I think it was offline. I don't think we hit record yet, but you and I were talking about emotional intelligence and soft skills and how important that is to leadership. Well, that doesn't come without self-awareness and perspective taking.
Right.
And that's one of the things that this psychometric data can give us more potently than anything else, is just how radically different other people's perspective, mindset, needs, and drives are than my own. And that it just unlocks all kinds of new perspective taking and empathy and mass personalization, back to that kind of terminology.
Yeah. Jason, what have we not discussed today that we should have to let people know more about you, your business, the tool, the Aptive Index? What have we left on the table?
I don't know. I feel like we've talked about a lot. I could go down this rabbit hole for hours, so don't get me started. Don't give me too big of a leash on that. But I think we've covered quite a bit of helpful information for what we do. There's some other cool assessments we didn't talk about that I really love that aren't competitors, like Clifton Strengths and Lencioni's Working Genius. Like, those are really fun things to just throw out there for your audience if they're not ready for an Aptive Index, but they love the idea of assessments. otherwise, I can't really think of anything.
Excellent. Where can folks get a hold of you?
LinkedIn.com. I think it's what they do, /in/Jason P. Carroll, and 2 R's, 2 L's, P as in Paul. That's the easiest way to track me down.
Excellent. Well, let's do our lightning round questions. You ready to have a little fun?
Sure.
All right. Jason P. Carroll, you've just won $100 million lotto jackpot, but there's a stipulation that half of your net winnings go to one philanthropic organization or cause. Who do you pick?
The cause, I think, is easier than the actual organization, because if it's that much money, I have to do a lot of research to find out, are they going to use it responsibly? But a couple of causes that come to mind, one that I've already just given hundreds of thousands to is anti-trafficking. Like International Justice Mission comes to mind as an organization. To me, the people who take advantage of those marginalized groups in that way are the worst humans on the planet. And so let's put them away forever. And let's take care of those victims. Let's rescue them out and reacclimate them to society. If I couldn't find a good organization in that vertical, I'd probably go with education and just equity, fair access to education across the spectrum.
Excellent. Jason, I give you access to a really small time machine, and you can send a message to an earlier version of yourself. What's the message, and what previous version of yourself do you send it to?
Well, the most honest answer is I'm loading up that time machine with explosives, and I'm getting rid of it forever. Even where I have regrets, they've just taught me too much. I don't think I would do that. I just can't imagine not wanting to go through even the painful things that I've gone through in life, even the mistakes that I've made in life. So that's my final answer. Locking it in.
Yeah, I've asked this question of well over 150 people now, and you are one of a handful still that have answered the question in that way. So congratulations.
Were they as violent that they want to actually blow it up, or they're not going to use it?
No, there was no there were no explosives involved.
Apologize then for that, but yeah.
Yeah, very good. Well, Jason, we're all works in progress. From many of your answers, it sounds like you're on your own personal journey of growth right now. What are you focused on right now in that personal journey of growth?
Man, I think it's just always curiosity. That's served me the best across all different, I guess, phases of my life, seasons of good and bad. It's just staying curious. It takes me out of judgment. It helps me address my own self-growth and the ways that I need to keep looking inward. And it gives me more of appreciation for people, even those that I don't really like so much, if I just get curious.
Yeah. Curiosity is an awesome thing. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was lovely getting to know you, and your messages to our audience were just fantastic.
Appreciate it. It's been fun.
All right. Well, my name is Andy Temte. This is the Balancing Act podcast. You can find us on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and maybe a neighbor. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte, and we'll see you next time on The Balancing Act.